You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When
Hello and welcome, race fans, to the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Cup Series. We are live at the Circuit of Americas, located in Austin, Texas. The sun is hiding from us a little bit today, and the track is definitely cooler than yesterday's Xfinity race, but we are ready to get this party started. I'm Jordan Brockell, joined in the booth by none other than Jonathan Leach himself. John, how you doing today?
Jordan, I'm doing absolutely great. Looking forward to an awesome race here at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. You know, I said absolutely. Everybody knows that is my pet peeve, but that's just because I'm excited for this race. And we were talking pre-race about my history at COTA, so I'm really looking forward to this one. Going into this one, we initially saw 16 turns, and I believe we're showing 20 turns that these 21 drivers have to navigate tonight.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be a struggle as, they have to change from running a short track like Richmond, and, having such close quarters to being spread out over 3.4 miles and, really running the track more than you are the people around you. And, with the ending of last week's, Cup Series race where Jacob Bauer ended up taking the win, there wasn't, any shortness of, bumping and running. Dalton Fredericks, got into his rear, kind of, moved him up the track, and then, going into the last turn on the white flag, Jacob Bauer just kind of threw it to the wind and, kind of put it all out there. And, Ramler was also on the inside of there and spun himself off while being pinched. So, I mean, there's definitely some tempers that are going to be, flaring here from last week's race.
We're looking forward to see how that's all going to work out on this racing surface. You can see on the right side of the screen that we've got the track map layout right here. We're going to keep that up, and you're going to be able to see your favorite driver's car number. At times we might take it off, but that's going to help alleviate the fact that we're so far away and these drivers are going to get spread out in this race.
Yeah, and if it's anything like last night, we're going to have a ton of different little battles throughout the entire field. I noticed that these guys are a little bit closer than they were last night. and I look forward to maybe seeing someone actually, pose a little bit of a challenge towards Liss Rambler. I know he's still almost about a second faster, but once we get into racing and, he's got to stay focused for a full, 38 laps here, it's going to be a little trickier because he's not as out front, and it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one quite a bit. And, and so I guess it's time to go ahead and go over the grid right now. And so let's talk about on the front row. We'll just put the qualifying results up right here for the Cup Series. And you're going to have to bear with me that's being a little strange. But anyway, let's go over the grid here. Up front, you got Scott Rambler with David Snook. That's going to be row number 1. Row 2 is Jacob Jensen and Dalton Fredericks as these cars are moving into more of the hairpin turns. Row number 3, Alex Reeling and Joshua Vidal. Row 4 is Taylor Bertram and Joe Hutchings. And row 5 is going to be Nick Renner, Michael Thwaites. Take it on from 11.
In 11th, we got Daniel Krim. In 12th, we got Jonathan Cogswell, followed by Ted Pullen and Jake Zedow. Eric Driggins and Wyatt Franklin will follow suit. Marco Evans and Doug Tuttle will follow in 17th and 18th. Caleb Lamb and Gary Wells will round out the field in 20th and 21st.
All right, so 21 cars, 20 turns, 3.5 miles or so for this racing surface.
Looks like we've got some pre-race action already.
Oh, no, we're
25.
We're headed to
Looks like
green right now as they're making down the front stretch, or front stretch as you'd call it, the uphill, making the hard left turn. These guys are fanning out already. Got side by side right there. The 41 goes around. So does the 26, and there's trouble early for Joshua Vidal, who's going to have the field go by as he's stuck in the sand in turn number 1.
Yeah, and that's such a treacherous corner there in turn 1. You never know what's going to happen. You've got people fanning out everywhere and, trying to gain as much position on the start as possible. And so, as you mentioned, Scott Rambler's already kind of taken to the lead here. His lead over Dalton Fredericks is almost a second already, all the way back to Logan Koger. Unfortunately, we saw him spin, get stuck in the sand. He's now 15 seconds back. We got 38 laps for this one. A little struggle right there for him. So back to the front. Someone locks it up. That's Jacob Jensen. That's 64. Opens the door for the 42 of Alex Reeling to try to make an opportunity or an opportunistic move on him. Yeah, and it's interesting to see that Dalton Fredericks is able to stick up front with Rambler a lot closer than some of the guys last night in the Xfinity Series, where he's not really letting, as he locks up the tires going into that turn, he's not really getting away. I mean, as I say that now, he's going to have a large lead, but really not really pulling away like he was early last night. Do you think that's the difference of drivers in this field, or do you think that could be, the fact that this Cup Series car is going to navigate much better for everybody over the course of the road course, as opposed to the Xfinity machine, which is a very different chassis as opposed to the independent rear suspension that we see with these? I feel like while this car is definitely tricky to run, I definitely think it gives people a little bit easier of a car for these road courses. It's always a little bit more on edge in my opinion, but I feel you can really feel this car a lot more than, say, the Xfinity or the truck. And, in my opinion, the Xfinity and the truck feel heavier for some reason. I don't know if that's just me or if that's actually the case, but, this car I feel like you can maneuver a lot easier than those heavier cars. Drivers completing the first lap with the best time belonging to Scott Rambler at a 2:15.90, followed closely behind by Jacob Jensen, about 2 seconds slower than that, and then a majority of the field in the 2:20, 2:23 frame for the rest of the field. So I do think we're going to see Scott Rambler, Jacob Jensen, Dalton Fredericks probably slowly step away from the field. It's worth noting, however, that a lot of these other drivers might stay very close together, as we have a battle right here between Alex Reeling and the number 42, and you have the 20 car, Dalton Fredericks, who's in third, just in front of him, and this is for lap 2. Yeah, and this shows really well how a simple lockup can really put you behind the 8 ball. He was up there not far off a Rambler, and now he finds himself under fire for that 4th place position. Maybe flat spotted the tires a little bit. Definitely, got the brakes a little warm, so he's probably having a little bit of trouble braking. So, it just shows that you've got to get your mojo back. You've got to get the car settled back down and really just get in your own set of mind to just run this track instead of running the cars around you.
And it's worth noting that drivers like Gary Wells is definitely running the track. He's up 9 positions right now. You just kind of do what you got to do. If you run, it's almost like golf when you do a road course on iRacing. You race the track because you can get the feel as close as possible, but you'll never have a true understanding as if you're in that machine. So you're racing the track that wants to bite you, and you're racing the competition, as you see Joshua Vidal trying to get back through the field in that number 26 Red Bull Chevrolet, and he's knocking on the back bumper of Gary Wells for 12th.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy, being that it's like golf, because you don't want to just try to grip it and rip it, like I do when I go to the golf course. You kind of want to just play it soft, play your game, play with momentum, and just keep yourself running.
He's going to complete the pass right here. I wish I was a lot better at golf than I am. I really wish I was. As you see these drivers coming around to complete yet another lap here in Austin, Texas. We'll go ahead and put the race information on screen for a brief moment. You can see the track right there. Please ignore the Motorsports Xfinity Series. I'm very surprised I corrected this issue pre-race. But, of course, right here you got 3.36 miles, track temperature's 83 degrees, and we're 560 feet above sea level. So these guys have a tough track to navigate, and here's that track map that I mentioned we were going to keep up, and you can see the different driver numbers of whoever you're rooting for on the right side of your screen here.
Yeah, and this is just going to be a fun overall race, in my opinion. I always find it fun to go to a road course and, just kind of get to, kind of relax almost in a way. I mean, it's definitely stressful and you want to have a good finish, but for someone like me, I'm not a road racer by any means. So just to get out, run around, try to make up some points and just kind of survive, that's always my goal when I come to a road course.
Good way to put it. We're watching Douglas Carlson make a pass right here towards the back of the field, working on the 21 a couple moments ago, and at some point Eric Driggins gets back around him, as you see it right there, so it doesn't quite work out for him. Back to live. The 26 of Vidal and the 84 of Jonathan Cogswell are going at it now as Vidal continues his march back to the top 10 and has cracked the top 10. Right behind them, Gary Wells is in battle with Daniel Krim, so a lot of racing back here towards the middle of the field right now.
Yeah, and Vidal, he's on that march back. He's got to get back to where he was. But then you see someone like Gary Wells who just kind of running the track himself and just trying to save, whatever he can just to kind of keep himself from, overworking the car and just survive and have a good points day.
And Marco Evans running in the number 76 machine. A little bit of trouble right there. Gets loose, keeps it on the racing surface. He scored 20th right now. I'm showing possible trouble maybe with Logan Kogar. We're going to go back and see what happened to him. Driver the number 25 Busch Light machine. Off in the grass a little bit. Might have some something on his tires. Perhaps he gets loose through the corner. He sure does. He's going to spin out. Gets back on the throttle. Got a lot of heat in those tires now. He is running 21st.
Yeah, and he's definitely having a rough night. He was the one that was kind of spun out there at the start of the race, and it's going to be a struggle for him to make any kind of comeback. But with the stage break, maybe he can try to stay a little bit ahead of the leader here, and just try to regather himself.
The stage break is kind of good. It gives everybody one more opportunity. As we're watching Dalton Fredericks chase down Jacob Jensen, driver the number 64, and Jensen's got fans in the YouTube chat cheering him on. So I'm sure they're watching this battle awfully closely as Jensen's holding the position. and Fredericks is trying to chase him down. Both of them with excellent paint schemes. Jensen, of course, in the Chevrolet. Dalton Fredericks is in the Mustang. And we got a Toyota leading the race with Scott Ramler just ever so slowly stepping away. Just ran his best lap of the race.
Yeah, and I mean, he is slowly stepping away, but it still amazes me just a touch that, he's not getting out as far as he was last night. So I'm wondering if maybe we get a little bit of the stage break and these guys can kind of get themselves dialed in a little bit more.
Trouble right there.
We have contact. Jonathan Cogswell gets kind of cleaned out by Jake Zedal there.
We're going to let you see it one more time right here. It's gaggle of machines all trying to make the same right-hander. Those S-turns right there. And I guess, it's kind of, I don't want to call it blind, but, you're looking to the right for that corner. And Jake Zedal and that looks like a Phantom something, All-Stars TV, Phantom Power 13. That's a really cool paint scheme. Camaro just happens to get into him right there, gets him turned around. Cogswell gets himself gathered up, but not before he loses precious time on 15th place.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if maybe that spotter didn't quite pick up the car on the inside there, but Jake was definitely getting into that corner a little under Cogswell, and Cogswell just turns in like he's trying to hit his apex, and there's already somebody there. So,
and there is the pass for second, Dalton Fredericks in front of Jacob Jensen.
Yeah, and now that he's made that pass on Jensen, I think he could possibly set sail here, work his momentum, keep himself going, and try to run down Scott Ramler.
And we'll see what he's got for him. We're going to take our first break in just a couple moments. Back here towards the end of the field, you've got Eric Driggins trying to chase down Wyatt Franklin, driver of the Grunt Style 21. I used to like their clothing a lot. I just ran out of it. Wyatt Franklin driving that number 95. Another excellent paint scheme. Nice purple machine right there. Trying to gather what exactly is on the side for sponsors. GT1 Concepts. Is that what I'm reading? GT1 Concepts machine for the Chevrolet right here. Gary Wells finding himself in a battle again for 11th. He's up 10 positions. He's our biggest mover still. Daniel Krim trying to get that 11th place position back. Looking to the inside on the left-hand turn. Wells is going to give him plenty of room. Kind of goes off the track a little bit. Give the position back to Krim. And folks, Jordan and I are going to step away for a brief moment. We will be right back, and you won't miss a thing.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
While we were away, folks, we just saw some contact by a handful of drivers, and that involved several drivers that have been running pretty well. Joe Hutching was one of them. Gary Wells was one of them. Joshua Vidal in that 26 Red Bull machine was slowly navigating back through the field. He's worked his way all the way back to the 6th place position, and he was around that gaggle of machines that had trouble. That number 33, I think, again, of course, Gary Wells had a little bit of a piece of it and was around that area. So we're on lap 8. We're approaching the stage break, which will come on lap 13. And Jordan, I know you have got some information at the ready for us as far as the current standings and the points and the league situation. Whenever you're ready to start going over that, the floor is yours, as we're watching a handful of battles right here across the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently our leader in the points is also our leader in the race, Scott Ramler. He's currently got a 24-point lead over the 3rd place driver of Jacob Jensen. So I look for Jacob Jensen to maybe push it a little bit here, try to get a little, that extra stage point in that 2nd place position, so that, he only loses about a point to that to Scott Ramler. And then followed by that, Alex Relling right behind Jacob Jensen is also in 3rd in the standings. So these guys are all really tight in the standings and very tight on this racetrack, and pretty much aside from Dalton Fredericks, running pretty much in their standings order. So, these guys are going to look for a really good points day, trying to get themselves set up to, go to Las Vegas next week. Possibly going to be another hot week. I know that the temps here today for this race here in Austin is a little bit cooler than they were yesterday. Yesterday we were up in the, over 100-degree track temp. Here we're probably sitting around about 90-ish degrees, 95 degrees as we run right now. So it's going to be interesting to see these guys just try to get some good points and move on next week to Vegas.
Saw right there Jacob Jensen getting a little bit out of whack on that left-hand turn right there, but keeps it gathered up. He's 5 seconds behind 2nd right now.
Yeah, and these guys are really spread out, and I'm looking forward to this stage break here shortly to see what these guys have up their sleeve to maybe give themselves a little bit more of a closer, tight knit group. Scott Ramler pulling away from Jensen here about 11 or so seconds, and then Dalton being about 5 seconds, almost 6 seconds ahead of him. So I look for him to make some not major adjustments, but some minor adjustments to try to get himself in a little bit more of a competitive car.
We'll see how the stage break goes. Viewers, any of you guys watching, I'd like to get a couple interviews in during the stage break if possible. We're going to let you guys pick the interviewee. So let us know in the next 2 to 3 laps who you would like to hear from in this race. And right now, they've got a handful of great options. The 6th through 11th are all very close together and all up for grabs in this one. And I know they're all waiting patiently for the stage break to have another shot at the top 5.
Yeah, and that's going to be our lone, chance for some of these guys here in the back to really try to gain a ton of time and a ton of spaces, because once they start getting spread out again, you're really going to have to work for those extra positions.
Yeah, it's going to be the one opportunity to try to get it right. You call it the practice before the rest of the race, and they're going to be able to get fuel right here. It's going to be something that we need to ask if these guys will have to make a stop after the stage. And I'm curious to know, I'm not quite sure the distance at their current fuel load that these cars can travel here. So we're going to have to get some information on that from one of these interviewees during the stage. Riding on board with Scott Rambler on the uphill stretch, getting ready to go into the left turn. He's on the rumble strips, on the brakes, downshifts. Just makes this look easy on this left-hander.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite just points on most of any track. It's that long front straightaway, but it travels uphill, and then you really have to be mindful of where you're braking and how far you drive it into that corner. And it's a true, just almost an art to watch some of these guys try to make a good amount of time there, as we see Michael Thwaites come down just before pit closes.
This is an interesting thing to do here. He's going to get his pit done now and give him an opportunity to start on the front row coming back to the restart. Curious to see if this is going to work out for him. Ted Poland's going to do the same thing in the 15 Chevrolet. Both these guys were back in the 11th and 12th-ish area place. And this is going to give them an opportunity for some track position, because, when you're back there, things get bunched up on that left turn, the first couple corners. And if you can separate yourself from the rest of the field a little bit, you have a better chance at getting through the initial everybody's hard on the brakes on new tires moment, and you can kind of maybe escape a spin that you may not be wanting to have.
Yeah, and with such a large track, you don't even have to come out of the pits and really push it to stay on the lead lap. You're going to be able to just kind of keep your tires clean and kind of not necessarily coast around, but take it easy, keep the car under you, and just get to that stage break. And everyone else is going to come down pit road and get fuel and tires, because they've been out here for 9, almost 10 full laps. And that, with this track, I mean, that's 30 miles on these on these tires. And some people have been spun, have kind of slid a little bit through these corners. So a lot of these guys are probably dealing with some terrible tire wear. And so you're going to put yourself right on the front row. And I mean, you could even kind of set up Scott Rambler to be kind of stuck in the middle and have some issues.
Yeah, that's going to be a precarious place to be for the current leader. If he's going to be a couple cars back behind on the restart, see how he's going to navigate that and attack that. And it's obvious he's got the speed to be patient in this one. But take a look at that map on the right side of the screen right now. These drivers are spread out all over this, entire track.
Yeah, and they're just littered everywhere.
Logan Koger is going to end up hitting that, giant rumble strip and get way out of whack just next to Scott Rambler. We get his 25 machine turned back around and continue on as he just went down when the first lap down. He is the first car 1 lap down, so as long as one of these other drivers doesn't get past, I'm thinking he might be able to get the free pass.
Yeah, he should definitely be able to, but I mean, Marco Evans is definitely in danger of losing a lap here.
So Gary Wells continues his move to the front. He ended up getting back into the 10th place position. He's 1.7 seconds back of the 81 of Joe Hutchings. Unless Joe Hutchings were to make a couple mistakes or Gary Wells finds some speed in the next 2 laps, I'm not sure if he's going to catch him for 9th, but I'm certain that that's on the radar for the driver of the number 81 Toyota Camry. Looks like can't quite make out his exact theme right there. He's got the MPI steering wheel. And you can see that driver, for Gary Wells, you can see that 81 right there in front of him, getting ready to come into a hard left turn. Don't want to overbrake, and this is the thing that bothers you. When you get into these turns, they get so much closer to you, and then you watch them just drive right away.
Yeah, it almost gives you some kind of false hope. You're like, wow, I'm catching him. But then you realize, he was braking already, but while you were still going full speed down that straightaway. So once you enter his speed, then you've got to watch him drive away.
And you see Gary Wells right there. He's got his hands full with that 33 Chevrolet trying to chase down Joe Hutchings. You can hear it scrubbing, putting a lot of wheel into it, using a lot of throttle input to help it turn right here. Lost a little bit of time, but not much. Just gained it back up on that left-hand corner, and Hutchings was able to take that back away. Right there in front of him, Daniel Krim way out of whack. So these drivers are certainly facing a loose condition right now.
Yeah, and like I was saying, these tires have been through hell. These 12 laps, 11 laps, and as you see, it kind of locks up there going into that first turn. They've been through everything, and they're screaming right now. So you're definitely going to get some new rubber here on this caution brake, but it's hard to keep yourself from over driving, especially when you have somebody for position directly behind you.
And and I want to mention that lap times right now are faster than they were at first. So guys early were being real patient with their machines, and now I'm seeing a lot of drivers in the 218 mark, the 217 mark the last time by, 221. So the fall off hasn't been terribly drastic as far as the average field goes, but the amount of control they feel like they have on the car is going away. It's getting slippery. They're working harder, and I'm sure they're waiting on this stage to come out in just a couple moments to throw some 4 more fresh tires on their machines.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting to that stage break. They think, we saved enough tire, we can make a run and try to gain as much as they can on these last few laps here. So they're really putting it all because they know they're going to be getting rid of those tires here soon anyway.
And so Scott Rambler just crossed the start-finish line, starting lap 13. Handful of others making the left turn. Here comes Jacob Jensen up the hill. That right there is a great view. You can see just how steep that hill is. It's almost like a blind corner, just about, coming as you're coming through the hill here. And then you get to go down the hill into the S turns right here, which can carry quite a bit of speed through.
Yeah, the S turns give you that feeling of just when you hit it right, because you just kind of glide through there, but it'll definitely also let you know when you've done it wrong, because you'll be off throttle a lot more than you want to be.
And there it is. That looks like that's going to be the stage, showing a couple drivers having trouble right as it came out. We're going to see what might have happened to Joe Hutching, or excuse me, Wyatt Franklin, the number 95 machine, before we get to the stage. And so far, so good. I think our scoring system thought that something might have been an issue, and it really wasn't. Take a look at Joe Hutching, the number 81. Probably similar situation. So when these drivers, they get off track a little bit, our software detects that and will sometimes count it as a wreck. And see, he locks up the tires. He's way off track, a little sideways. Same with 33, the 33 of Gary Wells. So we're going to let these drivers get ready for their pit stops. And by popular request, we're going to try to interview Nick Renner in the number 9 machine, Toyota Camry. I'm going to let everybody kind of catch back up to each other as I look to grab him to see if he is available. And well, it doesn't seem like we have access to his radio at this time, which is unfortunate. I'm going through the list of radios and options, and the number 9 does not seem to be available. So I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and go to our third place driver, Jacob Jensen, and figure out what he is seeing on the racing surface. Jacob Jensen, Jonathan Jordan, and the Tony Trapasso booth. It looks like he left us. So no interview for him. All right, we're going to look for somebody else then.
I think I found our man, Nicholas Renner.
Perhaps. Looks like he joined the lobby. That'll work. The other guy didn't want an interview. So unfortunate.
Getting him up here.
Something.
Nicholas Renner, it's Jordan and Jonathan up in the booth. You got us?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Just watching you guys run around here and, make some lap times. And, what you seeing out there?
So the start of the race got very, pretty interesting. Obviously, you fan out to one, but I was just trying to drive smooth, hit my marks. For someone that dislikes road course races as much as me, I'm not doing fairly bad, but obviously I think we had an incident with the 12, I believe is who it was, but we're rebounding smoothly, sitting 7th right now, just trying to buy time.
Yeah, you find yourself in 7th. You got any ideas here? Maybe you can throw at this car to maybe get yourself a little bit further up in the standings.
I'm throwing everything at it right now except the kitchen sink. I mean, I'm digging as much as I can, but as far as I know, I think this is about where I'm going to cap out. I was trying to battle the 26 there as best as I could, but I think this is about where we're going to cap out tonight. Hopefully we can catch up on someone else's misfortune.
Yeah, us guys who aren't road racers, that's usually what we try to bounce on is someone else's misfortune. But we thank you for taking the time to have a little conversation with us before I send you back. Is there anybody you want to shout out?
I want to shout out my girlfriend. I think it's the first night ever she hasn't called me while I was racing, so less distractions better for me. I want to thank my wrist for holding up too and not doing too bad with the torn ligament.
That's impressive.
Well, that's impressive, yes.
But
all right,
I want to thank y'all as well.
Well, thanks, Nick. We appreciate it. Good luck on the rest of the race. We'll keep an eye on you. You got people rooting for you in the YouTube. Good luck.
Y'all have a good one.
All right. Well, while Jordan's working on getting him put back in with his into his radio, we're gonna move off and maybe look for our next victim or interviewee. And I'm hoping that perhaps the number 33 driver Gary Wells is going to be available. I think I want to give them a second as they're approaching pit lane. I don't want to tag them, trying to enter his pits, because that could change his entire race.
Yeah, definitely need full concentration going into that pit stop. I know for one, I'm a candidate for always missing my box. That's why I always make sure I have a bright, hot pink pit box.
No, this is this is a tough entrance. Look right there. You get that wrong and hit that wall real easily. From Scott Rambler and others. Rambler, of course, first on pit road. A couple drivers just going to wave around. They already pitted just before the stage. So far, so good. Seems like everybody's getting into their pit box fairly well. All right sides going up, left sides going up. So 4 tires and fuel for the field. Michael Thwaites out front, Ted Poland, Scott Rambler going to be first off pit road, Dalton Fredericks, Jensen Still, Renner getting position off of his running order. He's going to be a couple positions. He'll be P6 on the restart.
Yeah, see, he said he capped out in his position, but, there he is already bumping up a few.
Well, you just sort of never know what's going to happen with even yellow flag pit stops. Gary Wells now up 13 positions. Let's try to dial him up if we can in his Customs 33 Camaro. Let's see. Gary Wells, this is Jonathan Jordan in the broadcast booth. Do you got us?
I gotcha.
Hey Gary, you're looking pretty good today. So far, you're up 13 spots since you started, up to 8th now with those pit stops. Do you have, first question, do you have enough fuel to make it to the end here, or are we going to be seeing green flag pit stops? And what kind of conditions are you and the other drivers dealing with out there?
Well, based on my current calculations, I'm not going to have enough gas to the end, so there you go. I gave it away for everybody, but conditions are cool. I mean, way cooler than what we anticipated based on practice and stuff. So, I will take this, but should be a good run for us here in this JP Custom Chevrolet. Been best run we've had all season, and hoping to finish it off with another top 10 here. So.
All right, well, looking forward to seeing you continue to march to the front. Don't want to keep you too much longer so you can get focused. If there's anyone you want to mention, shout out on your team, family, friends, let's go ahead and get that out there just in case we don't get to talk to you again.
Yeah, just shout out to JP Customs, GTS Concepts, Honey Hill Farms, Off and Turn 1 Podcast, everybody over at Hutch Sport Racing and Wells Racing Esports, McConey Setup Shop. Just, looking to keep this car clean and make it to the end, and hopefully we have a good run to show for it.
All right. Well, Gary, good luck to you. We're going to keep an eye on you as you continue to try to come through the field, and maybe we'll be talking to you at the end.
All right. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Right. Yep, we'll see you. All right, so we sent him back to his team. Back over to, I sent him to the wrong spot. I guess Michael Self took care of that. Michael Self seems to be race control today. Michael, I sure hope you fixed that for us. And if you did, thank you. I accidentally fat-clicked, sending him back to his radio. So Michael doing an awesome job doing what he does today. So not too much further, and we're going to be back to green flag racing. Michael Thwaites, Ted Poland are going to get this race started first, Jordan. And then you got the, Scott Rambler, Fredericks, and Jensen. We know those 3 guys are fast. Do they just sail off into turn 1, or do you think they're going to exercise a bit of patience, with these guys with a little older tires and guys that haven't ran up front so far today?
I mean, I kind of see those 3 behind them definitely pushing the issue a little bit more, because I mean it's the easiest time to get it. If you can stay with that lead car and guess his jump and kind of run into the corner with him, you can kind of basically either force him to overdrive and under brake, or maybe even get to his inside and kind of force his hand to kind of just concede the spot to you.
Yeah, and it's all about position in road courses. You can set yourself up a couple turns ahead to put yourself in a better spot for later. These guys are going to get side by side, pace lights turned off. I think they're going to swap sides. I got a little
Yeah,
excited. I was thinking we're getting ready to go, but looks like we're going to go around another time. So, that being said, we're looking for another interviewee. Who's going to be the next interviewee, victim, or interviewee? You guys listening to us?
we have a little bit of contact on the there back there between I think the 42 and was it the 41 of Snook?
Yeah, just kind of
Definitely
moving around a little bit.
Some late braking there.
Let's see here. Logan Kogar having some just trouble back here. Rough race, I understand. So let's look at maybe Caleb Lamb, if he is available, Jordan, if you don't mind trying to grab him. He's a Hutch Sport Racing. Looks like we probably got about another minute and a half that we can talk to him and get his thoughts on the race.
Caleb Lamb, it's John and Jordan in the booth. You got us?
I got you, buddy. How are you doing?
We're doing well up here, watching everybody, run around this massive 3.4 mile track. What's your take on it right now?
Oh, well, I'm just trying to stay out of everybody's way, I admit. I'm battling a little bit of an injury here, so if I just keep my nose clean.
Seems to be the second injury we've heard about tonight. You find yourself up about 10 spots, you just kind of taking it easy and just running the track, or are you looking to kind of drag somebody back and, jump on misfortunes?
A little bit of both. Picking my spots. Picking my spots is most important. With track position being so key, it seems you just kind of take it easy, nice and slow, work my way through the field.
Yeah, and so we talked about these restarts here. You only get this one restart, and everybody's all tight and bunched up. Do you look to maybe try to jump some of these guys, going into that turn one, or are you going to play a little bit more of a defensive and kind of just try to avoid possible spin, or what's your game plan?
Well, I mean, with there not being any full course yellows, you kind of it seems like it's either jump or be jumped. I don't. I like I say, I'm just trying to be cautiously aggressive, for lack of a better term. So
I like that. Cautiously aggressive. It's a good one there. So
yeah.
Before we send you back and let you get back in the zone, is there anybody you want to shout out?
Dude, All-Star Racing TV 15. That's one of my main sponsors here. All the boys at HSR helping me along here. Road coursing is definitely not my strength. They've helped me out quite a bit with that over the last several months. So I appreciate everybody, all my sponsors.
Well, we wish you luck for the rest of the race. Have fun, be safe, and bring it back home.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, always nice to get to talk to a few of these guys while they're getting ready to get back in the zone, especially during a long stage break as such. But we're getting ready to go back racing here, and they got a Porsche for the pace car here at COTA, which is kind of nifty. We're going to see these drivers led by Thwaites and Ted Pohl, and they're going to make that left turn. They got one more left turn, and they're going to be staring at the long straightaway uphill, as Michael Thwaites is going to be the control car. He makes the left turn, and you can see right down the track here, he's going to throttle up, and we are back to green here at Circuits of the Americas. Ted Pohl and Michael Thwaites are going to lead the field up the hill, followed closely by Ramler, who's already looking to put himself in the best position possible. A little bit of brake lockup right here. Ramler's going to look to the inside, thinks better of it. So far, pretty clean through there. The rest of the field, not so much. Several cars going around. The 41, David Cook, Eric Driggins, Alex Reeling, tough break for him. And Joe Hutchings is still on pit road. So trouble right there to start this one. Thwaites still out front in front of Rambler. Jensen and Rambler both around Ted Poland. And see what Thwaites has for this field now that he's up front.
Yeah, and of course, just as you say, it's pretty clean. You know, you see Calamity behind it. But it was interesting to see that Rambler kind of backed off. He could have easily, you know, went to the inside of Thwaites and kind of, you know, gave him a little bit of a shot, or just kind of ride his inside there and make a pass. But he kind of thinks better of it and kind of backs off and looks to just kind of track him down and make the pass cleanly.
You know, and perhaps Scott Rambler's thinking about longevity of tires, maybe a fuel-only stop later, as he's going to look now to make his pass, getting ready to come into a left-hander. He's going to start the left-hand turn. He has the lead already. Waits right there in second. Jensen looking for the opportunity to pounce, but here's Dalton Fredericks again working on Jensen. Just a touch faster than Jensen. Jensen going to close the door right here as we're going through these real, let's call them super steep S-turns. Not really sure what else you would call them. That hard left-hand turn right there. And then right on behind them, other drivers that we've talked to. Vidal's recovered up to 6th. Taylor Bertram, Nick Renner, we spoke with him. He's in 8th. Lost a couple spots on that restart, but, you know, solid spot in 8th. Right behind him, Gary Wells, that Customs 33, running in 9th, up 12 positions.
Yeah, and it's interesting in my mind. I'm almost wondering if maybe Dalton Fredericks might be a little bit more aggressive after, you know, kind of not getting dumped for the win last week, but, you know, being roughed up and, you know, losing by literally milliseconds. You know, if he would have maybe waited to make the move into turn 3 and 4 last week, he comes out the winner, but, you know, made the move going into turn 1 and 2 and, you know, ended up giving Brower a chance to kind of move him again. So I almost wonder if he's got a little bit of that frustration and he's going to try to drive the wheels off of this thing to, you know, maybe kind of make up for that for last week.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to do something quickly. As you see, he takes a big bite out of the gap from him into the 12th, Michael Thwaites. But all while he's doing this, Scott Rambler slowly stepping away. He's just about a second a lap faster, regardless of what Dalton Fredericks does. Now, looking to the inside of the 12 here. The 12's just going to give it to him. Move Fredericks up to second. A little loose out of the corner. He's going to give up some more time to the leader. But this gives him an opportunity. Perhaps he can chase Rambler down, but what we've seen is it's Rambler's show, and that's what you were talking about. The top of the hour, when or the bottom of the last hour. I don't know how that phrase works, but how we were talking about him being the class of the field for Rambler. Behind him, Jensen, Thwaites kind of going back and forth. This is for 3rd and 4th place, and it's worth mentioning that Thwaites has 5 lap older tires. Only 3 laps worth of that were actual racing at speed. So for intensive purposes, I wouldn't say his tires are much worse so than the others. Ted Poland doing a good job though, hanging on to 5th. That short pit for him might have worked out well in his favor because we were never talking about him at all. And here he is running fairly decent times. A little slower than the cars, than 6th and 7th right behind him, but every bit as good as everybody 8th on back. And as long as he runs some clean laps, he's got a good chance at scoring a top 7 toward the end of this one. And of course, we know that they're all going to have to pit later.
Yeah, and I'm almost wondering if Michael Thwaites and Ted Poland's call there to pit at the end of that stage, which while we were looking for some people to interview, I noticed that those two are actually teammates. So I wonder if that was kind of a team call there. But I'm almost wondering if you know, they saw that Rambler, Fredericks, and Jensen, you know, they're not really going to be touched. Those 3 are pretty much on a different zip code, and I'm wondering if they made that call to kind of jump everybody else and try to be the best of what's the rest. So, you know, it's a good call. It's looking great right now for them, and, you know, I'm looking to see, you know, as they get into this run, how it ends up working for them.
And you got to put the whole race together if you're going to do that. So we're going to keep a close eye on it as here comes the number 26, the Red Bull machine, looking to the inside pole and get a little out of whack, trying to give him the spot. Thought he was going to try to sneak right back to the left side of the number 26 Red Bull, Joshua. I guess it's Vidal. Right here they are, almost side by side. Now one of the longer straights, getting ready to come into a tight left-hand corner, and Ted Poland's got. I thought he was going to have position, but he concedes 5th to the 26.
Yeah, and that corner in itself is a dangerous corner in my mind, because we saw numerous amount of people kind of overcook that corner and basically lock up the tires and just shoot straight through it. Maybe taking out another car in front of them, but it's a very, as we see, a little bit of loose action from the 13 there. But that's one of those corners that you could easily overdrive or underdrive.
Look here at the 13 of Jake Zito. We're going to step away for a few minutes here as the field is somewhat starting to spread out on us once again, with the exception of Gary Wells and Zito and a few others that are within about a second of each other. So we're going to go side by side. You won't miss any of the action, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun,
To do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Back with you live now, watching currently with the battle between Alex Reilly and David Snook. This is for the 10th place position here at COTA, Circuit of the Americas. These guys, holy cow, look at that jump right there for David Snook, and he's going to end up, in some sense, cutting the course, flying right around Alex Reilly.
I don't know if I can call that cutting the course. That's a whole jumping the course.
Just that 41 just took flight.
Yeah,
Now-
he's like his driving right now. He looks like he's angry. Like, I don't know if it's. I mean, he did get contact from Reeling early, right before we went to take the one to go, and I wonder if he's just kind of agitated because it looks like he's hunting that 42 almost.
I mean, that makes it interesting. And while that was happening, I think Caleb Lamb had a moment. We spoke with him for a little bit. Up the hill, sort of blind left turn. Gets his turn a little wrong, maybe a little late on the brake, slightly outside the course.
You mean I'm not supposed to go over those rumble strips there?
I mean, not that far. You want to put part of your tire on it. Yeah, you're right. Snook does just seem like he's manhandling his race car. Let's go on board and see him, see what he's got. He's doing here. Man, look at the wheel that he's putting into this thing to get it to turn.
Yeah, I wonder if he's given up on the night. He's just, aggravated and, driving like a bat out of nowhere.
Well, he's getting by Gary Wells right here.
Throwing it into that corner.
And so he just got by that number 33 at Gary Wells, who's gone back to 12th now. But we know pit stops are coming.
Yeah, and it's going to make everything definitely a little more interesting. But I'm really stuck on this Alex Reeling and David Snook. I don't know if I'm just looking into it a little bit too much or not. But, I feel like Snook is looking after that 42 right now.
Very well could be. Come back up here to Michael Thwaites, Ted Poland. Their pit before the stage, I think it's working out well for him. Thwaites is in 4th. Ted Poland's running 6th. Joshua Vidal in the number 26 has chased down Michael Thwaites. He's looking for that 4th place position. Ted Poland is there as well. And we've got a battle for 7th between Taylor Bertram and Nick Renner. Renner's less than a second behind, trying to chase down Bertram for 7th place. Really closed the gap right there.
Yeah, and I mean, we know that these guys can go at least 13 laps because that was where our stage end was, and we saw all but Thwaites and Poulin, go that entire distance. So we're looking at, a lot of these guys, or at least Thwaites and Poulin coming in here around the next, I'd say, probably 3 or so laps, and being able to make it to the end. But it's, I don't really know how much further they could go. I mean, they could probably run this a little long and make that last little bit of the race shorter for them.
And somebody's not going to take tires. It doesn't seem like the tire fall off is that drastic. In fact, Scott Rambler and Dalton Fredericks both ran 2:15 in a 10th or faster. And Dalton Fredericks almost ran his fastest lap last time around. He is a little faster than Rambler. He's keeping pace. He's just 4.5 seconds back. Pit stop might be an opportunity. If Rambler bobbles, as the 24 is going to be the first down pit road. If Rambler bobbles, Fredericks might be there to take this race away. Here comes Gary Wells.
Yeah, and to your point of, someone just taking fuel, I mean, if Fredericks wants to kind of catch the 57 off guard, he could easily, not take tires. It saves him a ton of time. He gets out in front of the 57. Maybe the 57 overdrives his car just to get back to Fredericks. And, then you're throwing off Rambler's mojo and, end up walking away with the win here.
Very well, kid. We're going to go on the gyro camera here of Scott Rambler. I've got to imagine that he probably won't take tires. either to get the fastest possible green flag pit stop that he can. The drivers that just came in, Gary Wells, he did fuel only. Taylor Bertram did take tires. So we're going to see some mixed strategy. Some guys that, they just want to survive the race, they might take some tires. Guys really trying to give themselves an option will take fuel only. Now, for Gary Wells, that might help him separating from David Snook, Alex Reeling, maybe getting around even Daniel Krim as Wyatt Franklin is just entering pit road, I thought. He has disappeared from the racing surface. Now he might have timed out. Hopefully he'll stay and just continue to be scored, but I'm not seeing Wyatt Franklin now.
Yeah, and to go back on, Rambler not taking tires, maybe even for Fredericks, he may lose a little bit of time, but, if he can somehow kind of see if Rambler leaves quickly, because, he's got enough of a gap that, he's going to enter pit road behind Rambler enough that, maybe he can see his pit stop before he enters his box. And if Rambler takes off and, only does fuel only, maybe Frederick switches it up, tries to get, a full stop in, have those fresher tires, and just go all out and try to run down Rambler, who's going to be on older tires.
And here comes Nick Renner in that number 9 Toyota Camry. He was pitting from about the 8th place position. He might have been 7th. We're going to see what he is going to do. Is he going to take 4? Is he going to take only a few? Time will tell. We'll put the track map back up there, and you can follow your favorite driver and where they are running on track as the pit cycle is occurring. Nick Renner gonna be a short pit, no fuel, no tires for him, fuel only. Here comes Caleb Lamb. How long is Scott Rambler gonna wait? He's extended his lead a little bit more so over Fredericks now to 6 seconds and 3/10, and recently ran his fastest lap of the race, a 2:13.57. That is so much faster than the rest of the field.
It's crazy that I'm looking at Rambler having a 6.5 second lead and wondering why, and kind of just like a little in shock that it's only 6 seconds, because yesterday he got out to like a 46 second lead yesterday, and the fact that Fredericks is only 6 maybe 7 seconds behind is kind of amazing to me.
Well, it's good to hear. If you're one of these guys, curious to know how far they can go. What I'm also wondering is Gary Wells, what can he get having pitted a little early, fuel only? He's working on Wyatt Franklin right now, trying to get by that number 95 machine, who is back on the track. That brief moment where we weren't seeing him, it looks like the iRacing sorted that out. He's back on track. Franklin, gives the position to Gary Wells. Here comes Michael Thwaites and Ted Poland.
Yeah, and I look for these guys to, probably do full stops, because they are on a little bit older tires, and I know they're only about 3 laps or 2 or 3 laps of actual race on them, but I feel like they could possibly run full stops here.
I think they're going to lose at least a position to the 26 by getting 4 tires, but if they don't lose a position to, say, David Snook, Alex Reeling, they might have the opportunity to chase them back down on fresher tires. And and it goes back to the fresher tires, they're not going to make you run that much faster, but you'll have more control. And it looks like Alex Reeling, Krim, and there he goes. Ted Poland's going to spin it on those loose tires. Michael Thwaites is going to keep going. Poland gets it gathered up rather quickly. That might not have been too costly. And pretty much everybody in front of them is yet to pit.
Yeah, and it's the biggest battle, in my opinion, is those cold tires. As you saw, Ted Poland get loose off of there and spinning around. That's a hard thing in my mind to do, where you come out, their tires are cold, they're not really, set into the track, and you've got to kind of take it easy, but your mind is just screaming, go, go, go.
And here comes Nick Renner on warmer tires, able to be a little bit more aggressive right here. Poland's just got to settle down. He's got fresher tires. They're going to run and grip better, but you've got to get them warm. It's going to take about a lap as Renner's going to make a mistake, and see Poland ends up in the grass on those cold tires. Now he's got stuff all over him, and it's just making this that much more difficult for him. Here comes Dalton Fredericks. What will he do on pit road?
Yeah, I'm really interested here. This is going to be a very big stop here.
I mean, whatever he does, you want to do the opposite if you're Scott Ramler. Fuel and tires. Dalton Fredericks is getting tires. He's got enough of a gap though on the fourth place car that I think he can get away with this.
Yeah, and he's going to come out. He's just going to have to be patient, let everything warm up to temp, and then just start digging. For his sake, he's got to be hoping that Ramler and possibly Jensen just take fuel and try to just run this race on old tires.
I just don't think that the new tires for him is going to be enough to overcome Ramler, even at speed. Ramler's running the same lap times he ran on fresh tires. I think your initial thought with Fredericks is that he needs to come in fuel only, hope those guys up there take tires, and then try to beat them that way. Just heads up on older equipment. Or, you can always go for the nuclear option. A nudge is a nudge, and wow, he gets wicked loose right there.
Yeah, and Ramler is definitely showing that he is the road course guy in this league, in this series, and just the community of XMS as a whole. He is definitely a road course guy.
Yeah, so Gary Wells kind of getting stepped away from now by Nick Renner, who's found some speed in this one. Started off a little bit slower, but he's running some consistent lap times now. As here comes Scott Ramler. I expect him not to take tires. And he probably doesn't even know if Fredericks took tires. But we'll see what he's going to do as that 57 Camry that's been leading all day makes his final pit stop of the race. Going to turn into his pit box. Oh, did he miss it just a bit? No, he made it, and he's going to take tires as well.
Yeah, and I mean, for Ramler, I feel like you can kind of do anything here. He's gonna basically come out still in the lead per se. He'll have it handed back to him once Jensen makes his stop, but he's gonna have still a pretty decisive lead over these guys.
So what I'd like to see is Vidal here down pit road, or Jensen not take tires. I like to see them switch it up. Here's Vidal in the pit stall, and he's going to take tires.
Yeah, and I've said it just about every race, and I'm sure people are going to get tired of me saying it, but you've got to get off sequence. You've got to get off strategy. You've got to do something different. If you just sit here and do the same thing as the guy who's dominating the race, there's literally no chance that you can make it up just running him down.
Yeah, if you don't have the head-to-head speed, you got to come up with a different method. Something that keeps you out longer, fuel at a different time. It's been a while since I was a regular driver, and I try these, call them the Hail Mary strikes sometimes, where you try to set your pit stops up just the right way. And I was in a league with limited tire set, and I just sucked all race with old tires and gave myself the opportunity of, what if there was a late race caution with 10 laps to go? I'll be like 15th or 16th, but we're at I think we're at Dover, where tires matter if they're 20, 30 laps old. And I put tires on, and I got to the top 3 and put some pressure on them. But I was driving it so hard, and those 10 laps of the tires equalized. It just didn't matter anymore. But Jensen's still out there. Rambler does come out in front of Fredericks. Why is it a 12-second gap? That's what I don't know. And here comes Jacob Jensen.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody do something different, but, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes tires too, just to, kind of just keep the car more stable, and, just basically try to get in front of Fredericks.
And Rambler just passed right by. At this point, I don't think he's getting fuel or tires. I think he did do something different. He sure did. Looks like a lot of fuel only. That's a slow stop for fuel only, but it's going to put him in front of Fredericks. Maybe not. It's going to get him right in front of Fredericks. And I think Fredericks now has had enough time to warm up those newer tires. So there's not going to be an advantage here of the warmer tires. So Jensen's got to play real rough with Fredericks. And what is Fredericks going to do about him playing tough right here? Because this is the race for second.
Yeah, and I mean, after what happened to Fredericks last week, I don't see him playing very nicely. I think he's going to put a bumper to him if he has to, or he's just going to dive it into a corner and outbrake him as he goes to the inside now. Yeah, he's definitely going to get by him, but I'm leaning over here like I'm the one trying to watch the camera at a different angle. But
you just wonder how he's going to do it on those fresher tires. It's going to be this time right here. Yep, Jensen's going to kind of lock the tires up, maybe even conceding the position. Fredericks takes it over right here, and we'll see what happens. Jensen looks a little aggressive right here, too. Almost trying to scrub his tires clean. Kind of back and forth right here for these two guys. They're only 15 seconds behind Rambler, but I just kind of wonder, how did they get so far behind when they were only 6 seconds back, as Jensen has a little bit of a moment there. Fredericks is going to take that gap a touch further.
Yeah, and Jensen there was just, trying to draft off of Fredericks and then throw it into that corner to try to get by him and kind of go into that defensive mode again, but it doesn't pay off for him there.
At this point, our closest battle is going to be Nick Renner right here with Vidal right behind him, and Vidal of course took tires. Renner did not. Vidal's got his work cut out for him. To get back up to 5th, he's got 7 seconds to make up on Michael Thwaites in 9 laps. That's going to be quite the tall order, and Michael Thwaites is running his best laps of the race, and Nick Renner is running some of the better laps of his race now as well.
Yeah, and it's looking that call to pit, early to get in front of all these guys at that stage break is going to play off pretty well for Michael Thwaites there.
And and it would have worked for Ted Poland too if it wasn't for those 2 spins on those fresh tires. I really sort of wonder what would have happened for these two guys if they didn't take tires. I wonder if Thwaites would be in 4th. We know he doesn't have the speed for Jensen, but I think he very well could be in 4th. Instead, he's got 10 laps to try to chase down, 9 laps to try to chase down Daniel Krim. And here's the battle as Renner gets this very, very loose, opens the door. Vidal's side by side with him. And it's just going to kind of, looks like he's going to go around with relative ease. No, Renner's going to continue attacking through these S's right here. Drives in hard, big hop for him. Right-hander right now. Definitely looks like the fresher tires are a little bit more controlled through that section of the track.
Yeah, and we, talking to Renner, he just said he wants to kind of maintain where he is. He thinks he's topped out around 7th. So, I mean, as of right now, he's sitting where he feels he can get to, and for him, that's a win.
And loose again right there. A little tire lockup for both guys. You can tell they're driving really hard. And here's Ted Poland chasing down Gary Wells. We're going to step aside for the last break of the night, folks. Thanks for being here, choosing SRM and the XMS series for or your, I don't know, house for motorsports. I've just lost my train of thought for a minute there. We're going to be right back. You won't miss anything. We'll see you in a few moments.
The funniest comedians, the best in family entertainment. Don't just go to a show, experience it. Get a list of shows at WindCreekEventCenter.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back here at COTA. We're winding down the laps, getting closer and closer to that finish as we see Jensen and Fredericks kind of doing a little bit of battle here. And I'm looking forward to the end of this race. You know, these guys are really, really putting it all out there. They're not wasting any rubber on this track. They're using up every bit of stuff they have. And, you know, for Jensen being on older tires, I'm really impressed to see him, really stick with Fredericks there.
You know, and Jensen's had all race to learn and get better at this track also. And we always thought, he was clear-cut third best of the cars on track, fairly close to Fredericks. And, over the course of this race, he's just maybe figured something out. He's driving the car a lot more aggressively. You see that right here. And, he's a little more comfortable. He's got a huge gap to fourth. He can afford a couple mistakes, and it gives him the opportunity that allows him to drive pretty hard. Let's move back here. David Snook has, sorry to cut you off. I wanted to go back. David Snook has snuck his way back up to 7th. Vidal did get around Nick Renner. Snook as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, in my mind, I'm always thinking tires. Like, I love having fresh tires, and, sometimes that may be my downfall. But, to your point where you're saying, somebody needs to just take fuel, I mean, it's showing that it isn't such a bad idea to just take fuel.
No, Scott Ramler just ran another 2:13 a moment ago, and Daniel Krim stuck it out as long as possible. Now he's coming down pit road with 6 to go. I
Yeah,
wonder if
and
he's
that's
going
just
to
gonna.
try to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6 laps. That's a lot of mileage to make. I don't think it would have ever worked, but maybe he was just like, I'll run it out. I'll get less fuel, spend less time on pit road, and just be able to kind of stay in front of these guys and just kind of run this thing out.
Yeah, and I want to mention that's going to put Michael Thwaite here in 4th. These two guys are going to probably stay relative to the next 6 laps. And then back here, this battle for 9th between Taylor Bertram, Alex Reeling. Reeling and Bertram both with more fresh tires. Reeling got fresh tires on lap 28, so are 5 laps better. And this is for the 10th place position. 10th sounds a whole lot better than 11th, so I can't really blame Reeling for trying to get there. Then Gary Wells is all by himself, about 8 seconds back in the 11th position, but really good run for him. He's mid-pack, up 10 positions, started 21st, running 11th. Excuse me, 20th, running 11th. No,
Yeah,
21st,
and for him,
running
he
11th.
said he was just gonna, ride and kind of just get what he could get. And I mean, it's showing that you don't have to be the greatest road racer. You can just kind of go out, run your own track, run it at your how you feel comfortable, and still come away with a good finish.
Now those guys are about a second apart. David Snook seemingly running down 5th place Vidal. We might have ourselves a couple more position changes by the end of this one. We can even go back here towards the back of the field. We got ourselves a heck of a race between Caleb Lamb and Eric Driggins. I know Caleb Lamb has gotten into some trouble a couple times since since we last talked with him and the pit stops, and he was running much better than he is now. He's under siege by Eric Driggins, and these guys both took tires a while back. And so this is another one closer battle. And here's Jake Zito, another driver a little further back than we saw earlier. So guys maybe trying to run a little tougher, having some trouble, and just kind of getting them stuck further in the back.
Yeah, I'm wondering if some of these guys back here, had some, kind of over braking or, a little bit more of like sliding around to where, they end up burning up their stuff. You see Alex Reeling coming in. I'm guessing maybe topping off on fuel. I don't see why he would come down and take tires at this point, so probably just getting enough fuel to finish the race.
Now I'm guessing some of these guys pushed it a little bit close on fuel and they don't have quite enough, or does he have a pass through? He's got a pass through.
Yeah, that would explain that. That's crushing.
Yeah, that one hurts.
Yeah, it's never a good feeling when you have a pass through. Thankfully for this track, it's not going to hurt him as bad as, if we were at, say Richmond like we were last week. He would have went down several laps. But, with such a large track, he's just going to have to try to fight back and make up the time to Gary Wells just to get back into a top 10.
And Gary Wells, he's running some pretty conservative laps. 2:22.74 last time around. Almost a 3-second difference from Alex Reeling. Reeling should be able to catch Wells. Now, Wells has to make the decision. Does he want to run harder to hang on to 10th? I might. Because Reeling's already closed that down to 3.5 seconds. So I think Reeling is going to get there and at least get himself into the 10th place position. Back up front, these guys are still at it.
And I was about to make a comment about wondering if Jensen maybe had burned up what was left of his car, but he's, right on the back end of Fredericks once again. And I wonder if he just kind of took a step back and kind of let his tires, cool off a little bit and then have another crack at it here, with about 4 to go.
And that is a thing. I'm glad you bring that up. Some people that might be watching may not know, but iRacing has done a really good job with this. So when the tires get hot, the grip goes away. And I mean, the grip goes away when they're getting old, but when they get hot, it's a noticeable change. You back it off a little bit, let the tires cool off, don't scrub them so much. You'll find a little more grip in those tires. And so when you're making runs like this, as long as you don't scrub the tire too much, get it too hot. I wish we had like a temperature gauge of the tire so that you could see this and we could directly correlate it, but that would be some crazy technology. This gives Jensen another opportunity to make a run at Dalton Fredericks, and I like this. It's keeping this race interesting. And Jensen has numerous different ways that he can get the second place position, and I like the respect that he is showing Dalton Fredericks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jensen and Fredericks, they've been battling all night. It's been super clean, so I don't see why they would really get that aggressive unless they start, kind of having that accidental touching to where they both think, oh, this guy's trying to move me. But to kind of bounce back to your the tire temps and talking about that, when I was working for a late model stock car team, we would bring a car in for practice and not only put a fan on the motor to cool down the motor, but we would also put fans on each wheel to cool down not only the brakes, but also bring those tires back down to a cooler temperature and then reset pressure. So, I love what they've done with this sim to where they've really kind of moved that realism. As we see the 64 dive to the inside of the 20, is he going to get through? He over brakes, it skids through, but still door to door with the 20 there.
Yeah, you know what? I think that moment right there, that's going to super heat up the tires. He tried to catch the 20, possibly sleeping just a little bit there. And that was a really good shot because it's really hard to pass right here through the S-turns. So settle up, try it again. He's going to come in. There's going to be a little bit of a door bang right there between the 20 and the 64. Is this where they start getting a little dicier with 3 laps to go?
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of alleviating to, is that incidental contact where, the 64 tries to move inside there and gets inside the, the quarter panel of the 20, and the 20 is going to be like, oh, like, dude, we've been clean all race, and then those elbows start to come out.
Yeah, and just for Jensen, you just know you want that position because it's right there in front of you. And as that's happening, Michael Thwaites has company coming in the form of the 41 Ford Mustang for David Snook, and Snook slowly but surely getting closer to that 4th place position, and then Vidal, it's creeping in on Daniel Krim. So with 3 laps to go, we have a lot of potential changes. Gary Wells is still trying to hang on to 10th. Reeling is coming. He's a second behind, less than a second behind. Back to the front, these 2 guys within a second of each other. I think Jensen's going to have to let his tires settle down and maybe give him one last shot on the last lap. And I hate to put it like this, they got 30 seconds to the next guy. They can afford a spin if they're battling.
Oh, absolutely. And I would not be surprised if Jensen tries another move like he did there, where he tried to kind of late brake and catch Frederick sleeping. If maybe he tries to late brake enough to kind of give Fredericks just a touch to kind of push him wide a little bit and, run off inside of him down into those S's.
What's fun, though, is how little we've talked about Scott Ramler. He's been out front all day long, and he's been so far out front, he hasn't been relative to the rest of the race.
Yeah, and now he's starting to pull away to that gap that I was kind of expecting him to have at the earlier stages of this race, moving out to about 27 seconds, 28 seconds. And, I almost want to ask him, like, if he was just trying to take it easy on these guys tonight.
I don't think we want the other guys to hear that. So here's Gary Wells trying to fend off Alex Reeling. How hard do you hang on to 10th right here? I like 10th a whole lot more than 11th. I said that earlier. I'm going to work hard to hang on to my 10th place position. I'm Alex Reeling. What am I willing to do to get one more position here? Am I going to ruin my image? Am I going to Am I gonna just race clean and wait for something to happen? You know, if I wreck this guy here, is he gonna mess me up later, or is he gonna make a mistake and I'm just gonna follow him right through it? You know, as we're getting ready to come to the final lap here in just a handful of corners more, you know, and wow, we got a Zadal all over the place. Jensen's a second behind. He's going to have to close this gap a lot here in the next couple moments to give himself a position or give himself an opportunity. Here comes the 57 down to the front stretch to take the white flag.
And he's just on another planet now. What I'm really interested in is if Jensen can get to that rear bumper of Fredericks.
Yeah, he's got to be thinking, cool the tires off a little bit, stay within that 1 second. You know, you're going to have to make your move on the last lap. That's about all your tires are going to give you an option for. And now it's go time right here. They're on the final lap here. They see the white flag waving. Their spotter's calling it. This is the opportunity. This is your chance. Jensen drove it in a little too hard last time. Can he get the braking zone right this time? Don't lock up the tires. Doesn't. He's going to close that gap a lot.
He's definitely pushing that thing to its fullest. He's kind of down to that 0.3 of a second going through the S's. If he can nail this, I think he'll be right there on that rear end of that 20 machine.
And you know, that first left-hander was a much better corner. He's within 0.3 of him right now. It's gonna have a shot at it. They're getting ready to come to one more tight corner up here. That's gonna probably be his best opportunity for a clean bump. But I mean, what are you willing to do if you're the driver of the number 64? This is going to be your shot to kind of turn in right here. He's going to do it. He's not able to touch him. So close. I think that's going to be all that Fredericks needs to drive away with this one. You know, I really think that was his last opportunity. They're coming into a couple like hairpin style left, right, another left, and a couple more shots here. And Jensen's gonna
over brakes.
It tries everything.
That was where I was looking for that last shot there. You know, that long straightaway there to gain a lot of speed and then kind of throw it into that corner. But I think that's just about all she wrote for him.
And Scott Ramler, he's gonna do it again.
Not only did he do it once, he does it twice.
Wow. Wicked. Still got some guys in positions trying to sort out who's going to be where, but for the most part, the field as they run, this is how it's going to be. Fredericks now turning down the front stretch. He's going to have to watch a celebrating Scott Ramler, who ran a race to himself. Here comes Fredericks, Jensen, the rest of the field. Scott Ramler just, you know, I'm going to do my reverse victory lap, wave at everybody. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while. You just got
the Polish victory lap, but he's still going the correct way around the track.
You know, he got that left-hand turn into turn one backwards better than some of the drivers we've seen do it forward tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And I told him that last night. I was like, you're doing your celebrating lap backwards better than I can do a full speed lap forwards.
Wow, that was pretty incredible, pretty impressive. So is he going to do the whole lap, whole track here?
Yeah, he did it last night. He can run this track backwards better than I can forwards. I asked him if he was going to start competing against Mater and seeing who's the best backwards driver.
It would be the greatest car theme or skin that I've ever seen. A Mater truck. Why haven't I seen that? I have not seen a Mater skin.
Now that you say it, no, I've never seen one either.
Somebody designed me a Mater truck, and I'm gonna run it.
I think I might have to reach out to my painter here now.
Yeah, could you imagine? We just run a race, everybody's Mater.
Kind of reminds me of those videos where you'd see these people that they do it saying, I just saw it today. It was Greg Biffle, and there was a full field of Greg Biffles.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've seen those. Biffle, Biffle, Biffle. Biffle turns Biffle. Yeah. Yep, I've seen those videos. As these guys are still coming around. We're going to let them come all the way around, I suppose, and then we'll get an interview with driver number 57, Scott Ramler, class of the field, and then we got to hear from Dalton Fredericks and what he was thinking as far as that battle with Jacob Jensen as this race was going on.
Yeah, and I mean, those two definitely put on a show there at the end. I thought Jensen was going to be able to get to him. Maybe that overdrive into that first turn one on the white, or either 2 to go or the white flag. I think that definitely overheated those tires and kind of made Jensen have to kind of throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink, to be even relatively close to getting that spot.
And sometimes it's just what it's going to take. We'll put the final results up, and while we're waiting for these guys to go through, Scott Ramler, class of his own, almost 28 seconds ahead of the next closest competitor, being Dalton Fredericks. Jacob Jensen throws everything at it, like you said, kitchen sink included. Comes up short of second, but finishes a very respectable third. David Snook and Michael Thwaites, both with great races. Snook running a really clean race for fourth. Michael Thwaites, of course, a little bit of a strategy call for him, but then he didn't give up the position. He held on to that 5th place area really well. Daniel Krim finishes 6th. 7th is Vidal, Nick Renner. And Krim, the way he did it, and we didn't notice this during the race, Krim ran as far as he could, splash and go only. So ran a much shorter pit stop than the rest of the field.
Yeah, and I mean that was another great strategy. It shows you that just because you're on different strategy doesn't mean there's necessarily one that's better than the other. Thwaites came in and got fuel and tires early to get himself into that fourth-ish or fourth spot, 5th spot, and Krim just ran it as long as he could, and ends up helping his case there.
And some notable rough finishes. Caleb Lamb, we saw him with a lot of speed earlier, ends up bringing this home. 16th, rough night for him. Ted Poland on the same strategy as Michael Thwaites, just has a tough time on those fresh tires. Wonder what could have been if he had those warm tires that he was used to. Alex Reeling recovers to 10th, and now it is time to get a word in with Scott Ramler, tonight's winner. Jordan, if you'll bring him in, I'm sure the people listening would love to talk, to hear from him.
Absolutely. Just as I went to grab him, he moved from the one room to the staging area. Scott Ramler, it's Jordan and John up in the booth. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you guys?
I imagine
great,
so.
Doing great. You literally back up your win from last night with another win tonight. A little closer, but still a pretty decisive win. It's always great to see you run well, and not only run well but win. But what went into tonight to get that win?
Just staying consistent. These cars drive entirely different than the Xfinity cars last night. With them, you could really blow off the rear tires and screw everything up. With these cars, they just have rocks. And the issue is right out of the gate on the start and coming out of pit road, the tires are just so cold that they have no grip. And trying to get them up to temp while not losing time hand over fist is truly an art form. So I was really focusing on that when I was practicing.
Yeah, and an art form that it is, or that it is. I was gonna pick your brain a little bit there just for exactly what you said. Trying to navigate cold tires versus older tires versus different fuel strategies, and you know what helps you keep your focus and really hit those marks on such a large track like Coda.
Just getting out there and doing it. I've got a ton of endurance background stuff, so we've run Daytona 24 quite a few times. I've won the Sebring 12 hour in one of the old Corvette Daytona prototypes, if that gives you an idea how long I've been on this service. I've run the Le Mans 24, pretty much any endurance race there is, you name it, I've done it. So it really just comes down to how calm you can be behind the wheel and how long you can keep your hands steady, especially with a car that feels as unpredictable and just wildly out of hand that these cars are.
Yeah, and I know these cars are definitely on edge. They're definitely a handful to handle, but you you certainly tamed it and handled it very well. Before we let you go, is there anybody you want to shout out to?
I want to thank Maconi Setup Shops, them for jumping on. Uh, had a long, really years long relationship with them now, and greatly appreciate them coming on board. Uh, All Star 15 TV, all the guys there, AJ, also with Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. Thanks to Joe for putting everything on at HSR, and Gary for running everything for Wells Esports, all the admins, and thank you guys for broadcasting. And thanks to everybody for coming out tonight. We tried to put on a show. We've got a bunch of guys that are oval racers, not road racers, but it seemed like there was some pretty good battles going on throughout the pack.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you for having some time for us, and we'll see you in Vegas.
All right, we'll see you in Vegas.
Next, we'll bring up Dalton Fredericks. John, I believe you have him.
Dalton, welcome to the booth after a tough battle with Jacob Jensen in the final 10 laps of this race. You were on fresher tires, he was on older tires, but did that really make the difference?
Yes and no. I was wanting to take no tires there at that last pit, but some of my teammates kind of helped the decision with that because I was kind of on what I wanted to do. So I decided to take new tires, but I only took enough fuel to make it to the end. So I think with the lighter weight, that's really what hurt me there with the lack of grip. So I wonder if I would have taken a full tank if we would have had a different race there.
That's a very different thought process to what I would have thought. I never would have considered a full tank and a little bit more grip on the racing surface. So anyhow, great job finishing P2. That's basically like winning the race considering the way Ramler ran everybody else. What are your thoughts on the race overall, and what are your thoughts going into next week?
Yeah. I struggled all race. Lack of grip. Kind of frustrated with myself all race, but I mean, we still held our own. Straight's just phenomenal at what he does. There's not many people that can put up a fight with him. I hope to be able to get to that level one day, but it'll be a while before then. But no, I'm proud of our guys, everyone at the shop, all the teams all the guys we race with, everyone on our team. Great group of guys. You guys broadcasting, and thank you guys for broadcasting this. But no, I would like to thank Hutch Sport Racing as a team. Joe Hutchings, the team leader. I'd like to thank him for all he does for us, putting up with our crap and whatnot. All Star 15 TV. Maconi Setup Shop, Drinking Bros Auto Racing Group, Detoured by Design, Nerds Doing Nerd Things. Yeah, thank you guys again for streaming the race, and I hope the last few laps there after I pitted was pretty entertaining.
I was quite entertained with the last 5-6 laps. It was not a slow road course, is the way I'll put it. It was not a boring, everybody's 5-6 seconds out road course. There was something going on at all times, and you were in the thick of it all race. So thank you for that. Dalton, once again, congrats. Thanks for the kind words, and look forward to talking to you next week.
And last but not least, we have our third place runner, Jacob Jensen. You got a copy?
I got you. How you guys doing?
Doing great. You and Dalton definitely put on a show there at the end. You know, you guys were back and forth for a little bit, and you were hunting him down on several different occasions. To say that you threw everything in the kitchen sink at it, I think, is an understatement. I think we need to make up a new saying for you. You know, maybe say you threw the fridge at it or something. But you know, did you think you gave it literally everything out there?
I gave it literally everything out there short of wrecking him. I don't want to wreck anybody, especially teammates, so I tried my hardest, and I think he was definitely faster that entire run, but he just kept making little mistakes that I was able to keep up with him.
Yeah, you definitely were hunting him down on several different, you know, occasions throughout that track, and even that last little gasp, you know, going into turn one there and kind of sliding through it a little bit, but you definitely were on the inside of him. Do you think if maybe you gave him a little bit of a door, he'd have been any kind of mad at you?
I mean, he would have been a little mad, but I think he would have understood. I just still don't want to really wreck or even door teammates. I just don't think that's the best move in the world.
Of course not, but sometimes, you know, those elbows come out, and then, you know, it's a regular thing. But you know, it's great to see that you guys have a lot of respect throughout this entire league, and you know, you guys really race with your heart on your sleeve out here, and just, you know, try to put on a good show, and put on a good show you did. So you know, congrats on your third. And before we get you out of here, anybody you want to shout out?
I want to thank God, I want to thank my family, I want to thank some friends, and I want to thank all people at Hutch Sport and all of our sponsors like All Star Off and Turn 1 Podcast and BMS Off-Roading.
All right. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and we'll see you in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Have a nice one.
You as well.
Well, that's going to just about do it here at Circuits of the Americas. I always want to call it Kodakata, and I can't always get it right, you know, but this one certainly didn't disappoint. We had about an hour and 40 minutes of racing. Nobody really got excessively separated from any other driver, except for Scott Ramler. So these guys showed that the entire field is competitive. Lap times were all within about 3 to 4 seconds of each other the entire race, and wouldn't expect anything else from the Ricmotech the Cup Series. We've had these guys for a long time. Their drivers have been together for a long while. They know what to expect of each other, and they are a solid group of racers. The average guy can't just jump in here and be competitive. These guys they put in the time, they put in the effort. Jordan, you're in for a real treat by staying on with these guys for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love watching these guys both in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. I mean, they put on a show. They're close racing. No one besides, you know, Ramler here at this road course, no one really gets away very easily in this league. You know, everybody's door to door and really fighting for those wins and those stage points, and you know, being competitive from first to 21st to 31st. It's a super competitive group of people, and it's truly just fun to watch. I mean, there's points where I feel like I'm rooting on some of these guys, like, you know, I do people on Saturday and Sunday for you know, NASCAR in real life. So, you know, I've really enjoyed, you know, being around these guys. So, and I look forward to watching all the way through and see who comes out the champion.
Well, there's a very fair chance that I'm going to get to enjoy that alongside you, and looking forward to see how it's going to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for all being here for the last 2 hours with us on Wednesday. This is April 24th of 24. That's pretty cool. Hey, it's one of those dates. 4/24/20. Oh, no, it's not. Darn. I thought it was one where it starts the same way that it ends, and I can't think of the right word for it. But anyhow, I want to thank everybody for being here for this rendition of iRacing and great racing in general at Circus of the Americas for the Extreme Motorsports Cup Series. My name is Jonathan Leach, my partner Jordan. Can't wait to be here next week. We're going to sign off, and as Tony Trapasso always said, ladies and gentlemen, when you walk through life, don't play in traffic. We'll see you next Tuesday for more racing. Good night.